Hi folks, this video is a little different than usual because the item in question has already come and gone. But it was an interesting repair. I learned some things and I just wanted to relate to you what I had found. The item in question is a Peavey DM112 powered speaker. It belongs to Joey Wilson, the guy who composed Bipolar Junction. And he has a gig coming up, so I didn't want to get bogged down with making a video while I was working on it. I found several interesting things in there, and I just wanted to relate those. So what Joey told me is that it was working, and then they went somewhere, or maybe he was just using it at home, and it wasn't working right. So he turned it off, changed the input cable, and it started working again. So he thought he had a bad cable. And then it began to occur more often, and then finally just stopped working altogether. And that's when he gave it to me to repair, and he said he had a gig at the end of the month. This is the schematic for just the preamp section, and it looks like there's a lot of stuff going on, but as with all schematics, we're only interested in a very small portion of it. So if we look down here, we can see the relay contacts, and they are labeled A out and B out. And when the relay closes, those go to the connector where I had injected signal into the power amp stages. And above that is the whole circuit that pulls in the relay. And this is where we need to focus our attention because the relay was not engaging. If we look at the relay and work our way back to the first transistor in that circuit, we see Q7. And Q7 needs to be turned on or forward biased in order to pull its collector down toward ground. This in turn will prevent Q8 from turning on, and that will allow the point at the collector to rise up to close to the 15 volt level. We see a resistor here, R194 is a 220K resistor. So what will happen is it will slowly charge C133 through that 220K resistor, and when the voltage gets high enough to overcome the 6.8 volt Zener diode that's between that point and the base of Q9, Q9 will turn on. When Q9 turns on, it will forward bias Q10, which will bring Q10's collector toward ground potential and allowing current to flow through the relay coil, pulling the relay coil in. So when I looked at the circuit, the first thing I focused on was Q7, and Q7 had about 0.66 volts at its base. Now these, like most transistors, are silicon transistors, and they turn on or forward bias between 0.5 and 0.6 volts. At the collector of Q7, I had 0.14 volt, and that should not be enough to forward bias Q8. Yet I noticed when I measured the positive side of C133 or the collector of Q8, they're a common point, I was seeing 0.006 volts. So I had surmised that I must have a leakage path to ground. I changed C133 and it didn't change anything, and I measured it after I took it out and it was still okay. By the way, these are all surface mount components, and I ended up using a regular through hole capacitor because at the time I had no surface mount capacitors. I have since ordered some, but it didn't change anything. So I thought I better get some transistors to change out Q8, because even though it checked good in circuit, there had to be a leakage path to ground. But changing out Q8 did not change anything either. And this is where I talk about where I went wrong. I fixated on this as being the problem, because it appeared that Q7 was forward biased and there was not enough voltage at the base of Q8 for it to conduct. And I spent way too much time here because I did the thing that I warned you folks not to do. I fixated on this as having to be the problem. And fixating doesn't help you when the problem is not there. And sure enough, the problem wasn't there. When I finally determined that is by shorting Q8's base to Q8's emitter, which should completely cut it off. And it did. And as soon as I did that, C133 began to charge, and I heard a tiny little click when that relay pulled in. So while I don't understand if there's something particular about these transistors or something I simply never understood, was that even with 0.14 volts at the base of Q8, it was enough for it to conduct. And I never thought that possible. Apparently it is. The other thing is, I was taught in school, and this is true, that transistors will do one of two things. They will amplify, or you can use them as a switch. And if you're using them as a switch, they need to be pretty much in saturation. That is, the base has to be turned on or forward biased as much as possible. So once I realized by shorting Q8's base to its emitter and seeing that our voltage did indeed rise up, I realized I didn't have a leakage path. Q7 was not in saturation. And that's when I began to look back toward the two diodes that provide the power for that circuit. Now they come right off the power transformer, and these diodes are D13 and D14, and they tie together at the cathode, and I measured 16 volts there. On the other side of R177, I was getting 8 volts, 7.99 to 8 volts. And on the other side of R4, I was getting 7.34 volts. Now, with our 6.8 volt Zener, that was not enough to saturate Q7. So I began to start wondering what the deal was, and I did the math using Ohm's law and adding R177 to R185. So that's 22K and 100K. R185 is 100K. And I calculated that I should have 13 volts at C131 positive side, and I had 8. And that's when I decided to unsolder C131. C131 was bad. That was the entire problem with this. And what had been happening to Joey was it was starting to fail, and he would turn it on, and maybe the line voltage was a little higher, a volt or two, but it was enough to make a difference because I proved that with a variac. And it would work sometimes, and other times it didn't. And finally, the capacitor reached the point where it just wasn't going to work at all. And that was the root cause of the whole thing. It took longer to fix than it should have because I had fixated on the circuit that pulls in the relay instead of going back here. So I just wanted to make a quick video to talk about this, show you on the schematic what the problem was. And I'm sorry I don't have a video, but I just didn't want to get bogged down with making a video while I had a time-sensitive project. So that's all I'm going to do on this video. I thank everyone for watching, and as always, I like giving back to the community that's given me so much. Thank you much, everyone.